Hello and welcome back. Today I have three projects for you in this Versus series, the fall edition. This is where the traditional decor and modern decor meet to go toe to toe. So jumping right into our first project, I have a pack of these wooden rounds that I did find from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to paint one of them with my ivory chalk paint. I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then I'm going to bring these napkins from the Dollar Tree in, and I'm going to fussy cut my images out. If you don't want to cut them out, you can always use your hands just to rip away the excess white paper from your image. Now, once my images have been cut out or torn out, I'm going to take these and separate them from 2-ply down to 1-ply. This is going to allow our images to lay down a lot more smoother. So to attach these to our round board, what I'm going to do is lay down a nice foundation of the Mod Podge. This Mod Podge does not need to be too dry and it does not need to be too wet, but just right. Now, when you are applying these images to your board, please take your time, because once that napkin gets wet, it is very susceptible to ripping and to tearing. So once I have that foundation of Mod Podge down, I just take my image, I lay it down, and then I use my finger to start smoothing out any air pockets, air bubbles, or lines or creases. Once it's nice and smooth, I'm just going to go over the top of this with a coat of Mod Podge, and this is going to seal it in. I noticed that once I began to lay my images side by side that there were gaps. So what I did was I took an extra image and I just simply fussy cut out the individual pumpkins and the greenery and florals just to be sure that everything flowed and nothing looked gappy. For this project, you will need about 8 to 9 of these images, and you do get 2 of these images per napkin. Once this Mod Podge is dry, you will notice that the images are going to be so bright and so bold. I don't know what it is about the Mod Podge, but it just brings color out of paper projects. Now, this is what it looks like once the Mod Podge is dried. So to remove the excess napkin from around the project, I'm just going to bring in some sandpaper and just sand away the excess paper from the edges. Now, I found this really nice letter at my local Hobby Lobby, and originally it was $8.99, but I only paid $4.50 for it because I did catch it on a 50% off sale. Now, to attach this to my sign, I don't like my images to lay flush to my signs. So what I've done is taken some of these wooden cubes from the Dollar Tree, and I'm simply going to hot glue these to the back of the letter. Now, to actually attach the letter to the sign, I am not going to use just hot glue, but I'm also going to use a stronger adhesive such as a Fix-All, a Fabri-Tac, or you could even use like a super glue or a clear grip Gorilla Glue. I have just found that the hot glue alone does not stick very well to the chalk paint. So once this is applied and dried, now I was thinking about embellishing this with some little green pieces that I have from the Dollar Tree. But then once I looked at it, I liked it kind of plain as well. But at the end of the video, you'll see that I did change my mind, and I did put a bow on it with a few other little pit berries and a few other pieces of greenery. So now it's time for us to put our hanging apparatus on the back. So to do so, I just simply have a piece of twine, and this is just a piece of twine that I use, I kept from where a label was attached to something else that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to take my hot glue, lay 2 foundations of the hot glue. Then I'm just going to take each end of that twine, put it down into that glue, allow it to dry a little bit. Then I would just simply take more of that hot glue, place it over the top of it, and then I'm just going to place either a piece of masking tape over the top or a piece of paper. I did get that tip about the masking tape over the hot glue from Holly over at Hot Humble Pie. So that project is complete. On to project number 2. So I have this turkey lurkey, that's his name. I have this turkey lurkey that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and I'm just simply going to go ahead and use my antique wax to give him a nice coat to bring out that nice grain of wood. If you don't want to use antique wax, of course you can always use your favorite stain or your watered down acrylic concoction as well. Now, once I do the front, I'm going to be sure to pay attention to the sides of this as well. So I want to tell you that this project is totally inspired by Miss Kathy over at My DIY. She's a really talented crafter. She does a lot of wreaths, tabletop decor. She's just really talented. Please go check her out and let her know that I sent you to her. So moving on to the next step, I am going to take out this material that I had left over from last fall. I did pick this up from Dollar Tree, and it has the Grateful and Thankful printed out on the front. So I have 2 of these 11 by 14 frames. What I did was disassembled both of them, and I'm using the back portion of this to go ahead and make as a template to trace out how much material I need to cut. You can take this and totally make this so customizable to, again, your decor, your taste, your style. Now I'm going to show you the 2 picture frames that I have. Again, they are completely disassembled. So what I'm going to do now is simply take one of those pieces of glass, one of those panes of glass, and I am going to go ahead and lay down a nice foundation of my Mod Podge. It's got to be a generous foundation because the material is just going to soak it right up. If you guys are enjoying what you are seeing so far, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down in the comment section. As I always say, I thoroughly enjoy chit-chatting with you all, getting to know you, and you getting to know me. And if you're not subscribed, please stick around by subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular subscriber, you know I certainly do appreciate you every time you come through. So once I have this nice even coat of my Mod Podge on that pane of glass, I give it a moment just to become a little bit tacky. And once it has become tacky, I am going to go ahead and bring in our material that we cut out, and I'm just going to lay this right over the top of that pane of glass. Now, again, I'm going to use my paintbrush to go ahead and push out any air bubbles, any creases, or lines that may occur in your fabric. Now, if you want to press your fabric out with an iron or throw it in the dryer or use a steamer on it, feel free to do so. Personally, I didn't feel the necessity to do so. Once that's complete, I set that aside to dry. So I'm going to actually bring in my 2 outer frames. Now what I'm going to do to one of them is remove the actual black tabs with a pair of needle nose pliers. When you are removing these tabs, please do be careful because you can break your frame and you can also hurt yourself trying to remove these tabs. Once they are removed from the first frame, what I'm going to do is bring in the second pane of my glass. And I am just going to lay this into the frame that we just removed those black tabs from. I'm going to bring my hot glue gun in, and I am going to lay down a line of hot glue around the complete inner perimeter where the glass and the frame meet. This is going to ensure that nothing falls out and that everything is nice and solid. So be sure that you are very careful when you are laying down this hot glue, because if you mess it up, you will be able to see it from the front. So once this is done, I am going to go ahead and bring in the second frame, lay down a foundation of hot glue, and attach and adhere these 2 frames together. This is going to give us something like a shallow shadow box. So I'm going to set this aside, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring in my fabric covered pane of glass. Just like our first project, you can see that that Mod Podge just really brightens up and makes those colors so vibrant and bold. I'm going to take the same piece of cardboard that I used to cut out my template for my fabric, and I'm just going to hot glue the pane of glass to that cardboard. So now I have Turkey Lurkey back. He's all dry, and I just made a nice little cute bow out of some of that ribbon from the Dollar Tree just to dress him up a little bit. After all, it's his special day, y'all. So now I'm going to take this pane of glass that the material is covering, and I'm just going to attach Turkey Lurkey to the front of this. To do so, I am just going to again use my hot glue. If it was not going to be in a frame, I would still use my hot glue and a strong adhesive together. One reason I love this project is because it's simple, but it's so pretty, so cute, and so elegant. And does that little bow tie not just add like a cutesy factor to it? So once Turkey Lurkey has been adhered to the other pane of glass, I'm just going to lay this down, and I'm going to take those metal tabs and push them over, and this project is complete. Now there is a hole at the top of Turkey Lurkey's feather, but at the end of the video, you're going to see how I dressed it up. I didn't want this video to be entirely too long. Is that not cute? So moving on to project number 3. This is where our modern style of decor comes in. I have these 6 planks of wood from the Dollar Tree. What I'm going to do is bring in this gel form of super glue in, and I'm just going to glue these together in a staggered formation. I got this tip from Megan over at Glue Guns and Roses. When you are using this super glue, please be sure to put down a piece of paper or something between your project and your work surface, because Lord knows I almost super glued these to my work surface. So once I have these attached, and while that super glue is still wet, I'm just going to take the masking tape, put these over the seams so that they just add a bit more security. And I'm also going to bring in some jumbo crafting sticks, and I'm just going to lay these over the seams horizontally so that everything again is just a bit more secure. So once that's done, I'm going to give these a nice coat of that Adirondack white chalk paint. While that's drying, I'm going to bring in another round piece of this wood that I did again get in a pack from Hobby Lobby in the unfinished wood section. And I'm just going to go ahead and find that middle line, or how we used to say in history, not history class, in geography class, the meridian. In order to find this, I'm just eyeballing it with this piece of tape. If you wanted to, you could totally use a piece of paper, newspaper, whatever, trace out the circle, fold it over, and bam, you've got the middle of it. But again, I just used this piece of tape and I eyeballed it. Once I found the middle, I just traced my line and removed my tape. So I found this beautiful black and white floral print contact paper at the Dollar Tree. I've always wanted to use it in a project, so I figured what better time to use it than now in some modern fall decor. So once I have cut out a decent amount of this contact paper, I am going to, of course, separate the back to expose the sticky adhesive. And I'm going to use the straight edge of this contact paper to line right up with the line that we traced in the middle of this circle. Just as we did with our napkins, take your time and smooth out those air pockets and to smooth out any lines or wrinkles. Now you all see I completely used too much, so I cut the rest of this away and I can use this for another project for another day. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, and I'm going to bring in my Cricut rub-on transfer tool. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, and I'm just going to simply rub out, again, all of these air pockets, air bubbles, lines, and creases. So here's the little tip. When you lay this contact paper down on the wood, you may want to use a little bit of a spray adhesive or a little bit of Mod Podge, just to give you a little bit more security. So once this is done, I'm going to bring in that craft blade and just remove the excess contact paper. You guys, I love how that contact paper looks already. So now what I have done is I've taken that same piece of masking tape and I'm just going to go ahead and line this up with the contact paper, give this a coat of black paint, and then set this aside to dry. So once my planks are dry, I have this piece of artwork or hand lettering that says "Autumn is Calling." I saw it on a pillow that I recently purchased from Dollar General, and I just freehanded it. And what I'm doing is I just turn it over to the opposite side, and I just take a pencil and I just cover all the letters with the pencil. This is one way of using a transfer method, because a lot of us don't have Cricuts. I don't have a Cricut, so this is the way I decided to do it. Now, once this has been done with the pencil, I'm just going to flip this back over so it's right side up. I'm going to tape my paper down onto those planks just so it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm just going to go ahead and use a pen, a ballpoint pen, or any other blunt small object to go ahead and make sure that that pencil has transferred. Once it transferred, I just simply took a marker and a calligraphy pen and I just went ahead and filled it in. So again, to give this more of a 3D effect, what I did was took a piece of one of those paint stirrer sticks that I had left over. I hot glued it to the back of the wood, but again, because this is going to be on the contact paper and the paint, what I did was I used a foundation of hot glue and Fix All adhesive. And this here, I absolutely love how this turned out. That black paint is by Plaid. It's the chalkboard paint. When I say this stuff is the truth, y'all, that stuff right there is the truth. Amazing. It only took one coat and it came out perfect. So to add a bit more of assurance to this, I just simply took my staple gun and I stapled it into the back just to make sure it wouldn't go anywhere. So now I want to show you all of the projects, and see what you think. So here is my first project, and you guys, I absolutely love how this turned out. As you can see, I just simply added a nice two-tone bow, and I added some pip berries, some mini pumpkins, and a bit of that greenery. And just for a little bit of a cutesy kind of touch, I just added a bit of that wooden bead garland. Now this is another project that I had made, but my storage was running out and I had to delete something. But anywho, this is our turkey lurkey project, and you see now why I said the hole at the top really was not bothering me, because again, I just made a bow and I put some nice greenery behind it and it all came together. And of course, our Autumn is Calling modern decor. I hope that you all have enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. As always, my prayer for you is that you continue to stay safe, healthy, and blessed. They say that the numbers of the COVID cases are rising, but I know that the Lord Jesus Christ is still in control. So until next time, stay blessed in Jesus' name. Bye-bye.